In a quitclaim deed, here's what I'm basically saying. Whatever is mine, whatever interest I have in the property, I am conveying it to you. However, don't sue me if someone makes a claim against title. No warranties associated with this. I'm not actually saying there's something wrong. I'm just saying don't come back and sue me. I didn't promise you anything in regards to this title. I can actually convey anything that I own under a non-warranty deed. I could convey fee simple title under a non-warranty deed. However, it's rare that it's used for the purchase and sale of homes. Let's go ahead and cut to the chase on a non-warranty and quitclaim deed. They're usually used for specific purposes. They're usually used for specific purposes. Think about going toward a divorce, but it's a separation type situation. So the parties are separated. Listen, we want to resolve our property issues. We don't want to fight about this during the interim period while we're waiting for a divorce. We just want to resolve this. I get the Jeep, you get the house. I can quitclaim my interest over to you. You know, we own it as tenancy by the entirety. Basically what I'm saying is I don't want any part of it anymore. I'll quitclaim my interest over to you. As an interesting test type study question, a married couple, husband and wife, there's only one person. Wait a minute. I'll make sure I say it correctly. There's only one entity that I can convey the property to without my wife's signature. There's only one person or entity that I can convey my interest to without my wife's signature. That's what I was trying to say. Who is the person that I can convey property to without having my wife's signature? My wife. My wife. So like in a divorce type situation or separation situation, bam, my interest, now it's yours. We're done. Okay? Quitclaim, usually used for specific purposes. How about if a tenant in common were leaving and just simply said, hey, guys, here's my share, I'm out of here. Quitclaim deed. I'm not promising you anything, I'm just, whatever is mine is now yours. Also, quitclaim deeds are used, look at the parts of it, also used in many cases to cure a title defect. Do you remember earlier I mentioned the concept of a mistake in legal description? Okay, maybe it was a meets and bounds description that turned the wrong way. Just issue a new quitclaim deed to correct the defect. My name is Barnett, spelled with an E on the end, which is often misspelled when it's on deeds. My first name is actually Christopher. My whole name is Christopher Randolph Barnett. My dad doesn't realize what he did to me by naming me Christopher Randolph Barnett. I don't know if y'all are old enough to remember having to fill in those little blank forms. You had to put one letter per square in elementary school. We always ran out of squares before I ran out of name when we were doing that. But it turns out really cool because sometimes my mail comes to Christ Barnett, and I got kind of an ego thing about that. Oftentimes, deeds made to me have a mistake. Even something as simple as my name. A quitclaim deed can be issued to do something as simple as repair the defect of my name. Quitclaim deeds are usually used to cure title defects, divorce type situations. Make sense? Okay. No warranties. You get whatever was mine. Now, I want you to look at this slide, but I'd like to move through it fairly quickly. What page are we on in the book? It looks like page 95. To allow us to move through this fairly quickly, if you wouldn't mind flipping over there, and let's just hit on the highlights. We're now going to talk about special purpose deeds, but if you wanted to relax and take a nap, now would probably be as good a time as any to do that, because basically these special purpose deeds are nothing but North Carolina quitclaim deeds that basically are named for the purpose that they serve. For example, a correction deed is just a quitclaim deed that is used to cure a defect in title. Make sense? That's why I call it a correction deed. I would like for you to make one note in regards to this. Correction deeds are often referred to as confirmation deeds or deeds of confirmation. Just to repair a defect in title. Yeah.
And you said this whole list are...
They're all just quitclaim deeds. Yeah, that serve a particular purpose. Correction deed, also known as a confirmation deed. Yeah, well,
With any of the quitclaim deeds, like let's say that there was an error and you're just correcting it, the general, let's say there was a general warranty deed previously, it doesn't cancel that out, it's just an amendment.
no, it's just kind of showing on title what's happening to this property. And remember, it's not like just because we issued a quitclaim deed, it's not like I have to issue that going forward. So in other words, the quitclaim deed corrected the problem with the title. When I get ready to sell to you, you're certainly going to want to have it, and you'll be able to do a title search on what has happened to that property. Now, if you saw a quitclaim deed where I had actually quitclaimed part of my interest to another party, now that would tweak your interest, because now we would need their signature as on the property as well. Okay. It's putting together a history. A deed of gift. A deed of gift. I'm going to tell you a long, quick story on this because I don't think it's worth writing down until I get to the point that I want you to write down, and I'll let you know. A deed of gift can be done with a quitclaim deed. A deed of gift is what it says it is, right? I am gifting property, no consideration. Okay? A deed of gift can be done on a quitclaim deed. It can actually be done on a general warranty deed, but it would have the same effect. In other words, if I give you something for free, it doesn't matter whether I'm willing to defend title or not. I gave it to you for how much? So how much can you sue me for? Nothing, because there was no consideration. So it technically doesn't matter if I use a quitclaim deed or a general warranty deed. I don't think that's testable, but I think it's interesting. Okay? Let me tell you what I think might be testable. A deed of gift has a specific legal issue, and it's this. A deed of gift must be recorded within 2 years of its making to be valid. A deed of gift must be recorded within how many years?
2 years.
Within 2 years of its making, or it's just not even valid. If somebody gives you something, I know you're appreciative, I know you know that they want you to have it, go record it anyway, because if you don't, you may ultimately use your right. Let me give you an example of that. Let's say I have a piece of property down at Emerald Isle. It's a little bitty condo down there. Doesn't have a ton of value, but it's at the beach. I have a company, I have 2 grown sons, but I have a really, really loyal employee. My really loyal employee's been with me for years. He works all the time. And I'd like to reward him for this, and he loves to fish. So I eventually deed my condo to him. Deed of gift. Hey, for your years of loyal service, this is now yours. Go use it however you want to. He says, thank you, Mr. Barnett. Now, he only uses it on weekends because they'll work him to death during the week. How do you think my grown sons feel about me, my relationship with this guy? Okay, I gave him the condo, I didn't give him a jacket. All right, they don't work. Okay? They don't like it. They don't like him. Okay? But it's my property. I do whatever I want to it. I give him a deed of gift. Well, when's he going to record it? It's down in Carter County. We're here in Wake County. The only time he gets there is when he gets off work at Friday night at 8, he drives down there, fishes all weekend. He leaves down there at 3 o'clock in the morning, get back so he can work here at 6 o'clock on Monday. When's he going to record that deed? He's not. He's not. But he doesn't care because I wanted him to have it. A couple of years pass, and then guess what happens? I die. He's never recorded that deed. Oh, he has a copy of it, but he never recorded it. Now, what's going to happen to that property since he never recorded it? My sons are my natural heirs, and so they're going to get it. You think they were given to him? No, I don't think so. You don't know my sons. Okay? So he's not getting it. Deed of gift must be recorded within 2 years. Actually, it would need to have been recorded while I was alive for it to be valid. Deed of gift. The only thing I want you to remember is the 2-year rule. Okay? Deed of release. I need you to make 2 notes on the deed of release. I want you to associate it with 2 things for class. One is what's known as a blanket mortgage. One is a blanket mortgage. The other is a satisfaction. So you're relating a deed of release with 2 things. One, a blanket mortgage, and secondly, the concept of satisfaction. I don't know how much notes you need to take on this. Let me see if I can explain it to you just enough for our purposes. A blanket mortgage, would it surprise you to know that a blanket mortgage is one mortgage that covers multiple properties? It blankets multiple properties. To give you an example, when a developer buys a tract of land and puts in the infrastructure, it's one tract of land, it's one loan, but what does the developer do? Cuts it up into a bunch of little lots, and so you now have one loan that covers multiple lots. Well, when you buy the property from the developer, granted, you don't mind it being encumbered by your mortgage, but you certainly don't want it encumbered by your developer's mortgage. So what happens is a deed of release is used to release a property from underneath a blanket mortgage. All right. Now, before the bank releases their lien on that property, what do you think the bank's going to want? They want money. They want money. Hey, listen, developer, there's 100 lots out there. If we're going to release 10 of them, we want at least 1/10 of our money paid. They'll have a schedule in place to make sure that they get it on paid. Oftentimes, if you're working with a builder or a developer, you'll hear, well, not often, every once in a while, you'll hear someone say, do we have the releases? And what they're asking is, have these properties been released so that we can ultimately convey them to an end user? Okay? Deed of release, to release property from under a blanket mortgage. And then also coming up in a later chapter as well, mortgage satisfaction. Why does a bank have a right to have a lien on your property? Because you owe them what? Money. Once you pay all the money back to the bank, do they still have a right to have a lien on your property? Heck no. They have to release it because you have satisfied the mortgage. Deed of releases used to be used for this purpose. Today they mostly mark your deed of trust satisfied, showing that you've paid it off, and the bank no longer has a right to a lien on the property. Deed of release, when we get to blanket mortgage in a later chapter, I'm going to say, let me remind you, blanket mortgage and deed of release, how they go together. So we'll refer back to it. Trustee's deed. This is going to sound a little bit strange, but I want you to associate trustee's deed with a foreclosure sale. Now, the reason that sounds strange to you based on your notes is I told you to associate special warranty deed with a foreclosure sale. Here's the distinction I want you to think of. Special warranty deeds would be used for those REO properties that I was talking about. But a trustee's deed is a quitclaim deed, right? If you ever buy property on the courthouse steps, so in other words, if you end up going to the courthouse and buying a property at foreclosure on the steps, in North Carolina, the party that will deliver that deed to you is known as a trustee. This is a trustee's deed. The trustee says, look, I never actually owned the property, so I'm doing my legal obligation, but don't sue me if something goes wrong with my title. So if you actually bought the foreclosure on the courthouse steps, you'd get a trustee deed, which is a quitclaim deed.
What is the REO again?
REO stands for real estate owned. That's when the bank wins the foreclosure and remarkets. So you're actually buying it from the bank in that case. Timber or mineral deed. I think you kind of got these right. Do you remember the word starting with the letter A? That was rights and privileges that run with the land. Appurtenances are rights and privileges that run with the land. Mineral, subsurface rights, and timber, these would be appurtenances to the property. And is an appurtenance real property or is it personal property? Appurtenance is a real property by definition, right? So if you're going to convey real property, you need a deed. So mineral and timber deeds, that's you convey those using deeds as well. There's a saying in real estate class, see if you can figure this one out. Vertical trees are real, horizontal trees are not. You know what that means? Yeah. When they're attached and they're standing, they're part of the real property. But when you cut them up into boards, if Lowe's comes out and delivers you a stack of 2x4s, that's just personal property. Then once you assemble them into a building on your property, now it's probably become real property again. Deeds executed pursuant to court order. That's when I lost my meth house, the sheriff came out. I didn't have a meth house, I just didn't pay attention. But when the sheriff comes out and takes property and resells it, oftentimes you get a sheriff's deed or a judicial deed. In other words, it's just named after the person who is fulfilling their public obligation on that. Special purpose deeds, they're just simply North Carolina quitclaim deeds that serve a particular purpose. You okay with that? All right. Lisa, I have a question for you.
Yes.
How long will it take us to set up your game? You can cut it off.